Hey everyone, good evening. Goodness sakes, I'm so sorry. We all know how life can get. So unfortunately, yeah, I'm a little bit late this evening. Came late to the party, sorry about that. So tonight I do have something a little bit different. I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to complete the piece that I had started. Well, I had started about 2 weeks ago on Monday and picked it up last week. And again, I wasn't 100% if I wanted to continue that or not. And I thought tonight might be good for a change to start something new and different. So if you've joined me before in any capacity, you'll know that I love doing these dot mandala on glass. Glass has become my new favorite. And I was given by a lovely gentleman a box full of glassware. So I have a couple wine glasses, champagne flutes. I had some whiskey glasses, things like that. So far out of the entire box that I was given, I had only done a couple of whiskey glasses, which I've recently sold. And I felt kind of bad because I only had two, and the lady that I sold them to absolutely loved them and decided that she wanted more, and I didn't have any more. But that got me thinking I really want to dig into the rest of the jar. So I didn't even do any prep work tonight, at least as of yet, so I'm kind of gonna do that with you here. So what I've got in front of me is one of the glasses. Nothing special, real simple. This particular one has a square here. Actually kind of more of a hexagon shape. So it's not completely round. And I just pulled these out of the glass box that I had everything in, so they're not clean anymore. They were washed at some point and kind of wiped off, and they've just been sitting around. So I figured this would be a good place to start. It may look beautiful and clean. You don't see anything on it at the moment. But I will definitely get this clean. All right, hang tight for me just a moment. I'm going to do a quick check here real quick, and then I'm going to jump in. Just want to make sure that everything is as it should be here. Got it. All right. So to start with, I've got here just a cotton ball with a bit of rubbing alcohol. So the first thing I'm going to do is take and wipe this off really well. Got a couple of water spots on it, you know, things like that. Okay. Inside's not going to matter too much, but I did see a little bit of dirt or dust that had accumulated over time, so I want to get that out of there. Okay. And just along the stem here, There's a water spot that's going to annoy me. Alright, so there's that. Okay. Now this is a set. So I've got another here. Now for the moment, as you can see, I do have these laid down underneath the glass. I actually have just a little Ziploc bag full of old pinto beans. Doesn't matter what they are, but if you do want something to steady your work, I do highly suggest that. I use this a lot when I do my jars. Now I am not going to paint these laying down for obvious reasons. I do not want to do only, you know, a quarter of a glass at a time and wait while it dries just so I can roll it over. But at least to get this, I've done that. Okay, all right. And again, I'm not gonna go in right at the moment and do everything inside. Just make sure there's nothing big in here. Okay. All right, like I said, these have been sitting there for a while, so yeah, they're a little dirty, and that's perfectly fine. Okay. I'm going to take and set that one here. And then I'm going to take this bag off. That's what I have underneath. Like I said, just a bag of pinto beans, and I have just a dark washcloth over it. All right, and I'm actually going to take that away. Don't need that at the moment. And on my tray here, this is what we're going to be working with. And I'm going to try to do it kind of like this. All right, I'm going to get everybody down here a little bit. So you'll be able to see a little easier what I'm doing, kind of from the side view. All right. Now, okay. Let's get this moved over just a little. I want to be nice and light. Okay. Alrighty. So, what I'm going to do now. For obvious reasons, you can't really make standard guidelines on these all the way down. And I was kind of thinking about doing something in the middle, but what I've actually decided, just grabbed one of these. I'm going to put my glass over it. It doesn't necessarily have to be too great, but I'm just going to go ahead and line that up, give or take. Okay. Leave that like this. Now, what I am going to do, okay. Now, I'm not going to mark this completely, but I do just have this little expo marker here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take, make sure this is kind of centered-ish. All right. And just as a start, just going to make a quick little draw here. Of where each of these are going to end up. Okay. All right. So I've got that. Now then, the next thing I'm going to do is mark out the bottom here. I really haven't laid out my colors or gotten them into my palette as of yet, but what I intend to use Okay, so I really, really, really love this spiced berry. I do have this metallic berry that complements it pretty well. And then I'm going to use a mixture here of some grays, I haven't decided for tops if I'm going to be using gold or silver yet, or maybe even zinc. So we'll do that a little bit later. And then some marshmallow and some white. This toasted marshmallow has quickly become one of my favorites, ironically enough. Not a color that I thought I would be using a ton, but like I said, I've certainly fallen in love with it. It goes really well with just about everything. So I need to buy some more of that. I was really thinking, sort of a different kind of beige, but nope, toasted marshmallow. So let me get my palette loaded up with some of my basic colors. Okay, I'm getting this shook up pretty well here. Now, the colors that I tend to utilize more often than not, if you can hear the noise, I've got a couple ball bearings. Call them what you like. They're 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, essentially they're just ball bearings. I think the official header, when you go to find them online, is like a nail polish agitator. Agitator balls. Okay, but whatever. Buy them at the hardware store, get them online, do whatever you want to do. Smaller ones I found are better. Just use 2 of the smaller 1/4 inch. And I dropped 2 of those in my little 2-ounce bottles, and that works really good. I notice especially because I do use apple barrel. Okay, it's the cheaper stuff, and who cares, right? Because I like it because I can get it, right? Like a lot of people, I kind of started this pandemic. That wasn't my main goal for starting it. It wasn't like the pandemic made the decision for me, like this is what I want to do. I had already fallen in love with the art, wasn't really sure about it, but the pandemic did kind of push me over. So one of the things that, during the pandemic, just like everybody else, we weren't walking into stores. I wasn't going over to Michael's, for example, or whatever. And we were doing a lot of Walmart shopping at that moment because they did have the curbside pickup. And apple barrel was one of the paints that I could easily get at curbside. 50 cents a bottle. And because I used it for the better part of a year before I got into anything else, it's what I'm used to. It's what I liked. It's what I got comfortable with. And I found absolutely no problem in continuing to use it. Right? Don't think that because it's a little bit of a cheaper paint that its quality isn't going to be there. Because it is. I've had no problems whatsoever. All right. On to the next thing. Now, multi-surface paint, you have to use multi-surface if you're going to paint on glass. Okay, end all, right? If you're going to use a water-based acrylic like this, use multi-surface. Otherwise, you're going to be buying specific paints for glass or ceramic, okay? But if you're not doing that, then you need to go for multi-surface, okay? Multi-surface paints still do, however, you either need to wait 21 days to air dry or oven cure. Well, I've got news for you. Even if you wait the 21 recommended days on a multi-surface paint on a prepared glass, it's still going to wash off. Okay, I've done it. I've tested it. I left a project out just with straight multi-surface paints for over a month. it was probably almost closer to 2 months. So we're talking about 50 days. The recommended is 21. I did not soak it or anything, right? Just took a wet cloth and wiped, and it came off. Paint peeled right off, okay? I have also used the multi-surface paints, and I have oven cured them. 350 for 30 minutes, as recommended by the manufacturer. And it still comes off. It is a lot more durable. Okay, I'm not going to tell you that it's going to wipe off, because oven curing will prevent that. Okay, but it is going to scratch. Right? If you're not too careful, it's going to scratch. It could still peel. So, if you're going to do glass and you're going to be serious about it, spend the money. It doesn't have to be Liquitex. Okay, it doesn't have to be this brand, but get yourself the glass medium. This stuff, I was a little skeptical, after wiping paint off and having it scratch and chip. I was a little bit skeptical. I didn't know what it was going to do. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to put a drop of this in each of my wells. Okay, just quite literally a drop, because these paint wells here are not even a quarter full. I had a piece that I wasn't exactly happy with, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to test this and try to get some of the paint off. And that was hilarious, because I couldn't scratch it off. I couldn't wash it off. I did not go to the extent of trying to soak my project. It was just a glass jar. I did not go to the extent of trying to soak it in hot soapy water. But I did even try to scratch it off, right? I grabbed a little knife and was going at it, and it was not coming off. Fantastic. The one thing that I did want to remove, I decided that I only wanted to remove one tiny section of my design just to make a correction that I wanted to. And I ended up having to use straight acetone to get it off. Okay, so I love it. Great. And that project, that was not even oven cured. Okay, so I'm using acetone to get it off, and it hasn't even been oven cured. So just as a testament to how well I love the product and how well it works. So I'm going to continue using it forever. The only thing that you're going to note is that if you do decide to use the medium and you do oven cure it, pay attention to the instructions on the medium, not on the paint for the curing instructions, because you do need to lower your temperature and your cure time. So instead of 350 for 30 minutes, it's something like 300 for 20. So you have to be careful with that. But a combination of using the medium with the multi-surface paints and then going through with the oven, it's indestructible. So I still tell people, do not soak your finished product in soapy water, and still general care instructions, just use a soft cloth or a soft sponge if you're going to wash them, right? Better safe than sorry. Take care of your handcrafted items. But, I'm not going to panic, and I don't want anyone else to panic that buys something from me that whatever it is just going to wash off. So, especially if you're going to sell something, use the medium. Just save yourself and everybody else. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, so I've got everything stirred. Take a quick look. I've got a few tiny little bubbles, nothing major. Now, I did have some of these marked on the bottom. This is all dry, I'm sure. What I'm going to do, and I just want to decide on a color here. Probably going to go with the dark gray. I kind of want to get, because I'm not going to have full guidelines, I do want to have at least a couple of dots in place. So I know where I keep wanting to say edges and I'm stopping myself. They're not edges. They're like the four directions, right? The north, east, southwest. Okay, so what I've decided, I've got my large 10 acrylic rod, and I'm gonna go over here, and I'm just gonna pick one of the lines. Let's see, I'm trying to get myself lined up here. Okay. Make sure I'm not catching any bubbles. All right, I've used this one, so I'm going to go over here to this. And be real careful not to let that drop. Okay, so we're going to move over here. Find a nice spot for my hand is the only difficult part because I'm so used to using my pinky finger as a resting point. Okay. Get this last one in here. Let's stir that a little bit. That length did not want to come. All right, let's do that again. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me get that cleaned up here. Now I've got my 4 primary dots. This one's ended up a little small. My angle must have been just a little off. So I'm going to take this over here. And I'm in absolutely no rush because I kind of want this to have a second to, I'm not going to say dry because we know it's not going to dry. But I just kind of want to ensure that it's not going to drip. Okay. Let me get my tool cleaned off. I can take this off now. Okay. Get that put away. I may want that later. I'm going to put that down for now. Alright, so now I've got my 4 main points that I can build off of. Okay. Alright. So what do we do from here? Let's see. I kind of have a little bit of a design in mind, but you know, kind of only the basics in my head. Yes, you know what I might do? In my paint well, trying to fill up one of the wells with, or my palette, I have one of the wells with just water. And I'm going to move this one over. As I made the one, I think I shifted my tool a little bit. So as I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a second. I tried really hard to get that one center, and I still managed not to. Okay. Sometimes when you're not hovering directly over it, especially with glass, I tell you, it's easy to go a little wonky. Okay, I'll try that one again here. Now I can tip it just a bit. Now that I know where my other three are, that's going to make this a little easier, right? All right, let that one go. Now, those are some really big dots with a lot of paint. So, I expect wholeheartedly that we're going to get the tip dragged down, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to go into my 3. And let's go with white. Once I sort of get a pattern established in my colors, I will continue to follow that pattern through. But right now, let's get something established. Then I'll start to build from this, my lighter gray, the berry, and the marshmallow. I am going to be doing a set of these. And unless you are following a pattern, maybe YouTube or whatever, what I'm going to suggest, just like I'm going to be doing here, quick second, start your design, that's fine, but continue with your other item immediately. If you don't, actually get this down a little bit here for you. If you don't, you're going to easily lose track of your pattern. There, I'm going to pull you over. You can easily lose track of your pattern and start to get things off, right? I did that in the beginning. I had like 5 or 6 little terracotta pots that I was working on, and I wanted to do the color theme that I was working on kind of one at a time, like 2 purple and 2 whatever. And at some point I completely screwed myself over because I forgot what tool size I had used for what portion of the design. Yeah. That was not nice. It wasn't too bad because, you know, it was relatively close enough in size that you couldn't really tell. Okay, but yeah, you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, so I started off with these two. I'm going to head back over into my gray. Let me pull this out again, just kind of as a reminder, and we're going to do this. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to mark my grid lines necessarily here, but I am going to give myself kind of a quick little idea of where my 4 points should be. Get this nice and loaded up, but still. I don't need this really centered so much on anything, because I just need a place to pull my eye over. Okay, I'm going to drop that down here. And then I'm going to do this by hand now. You know what? That kind of smudged right there and I didn't see it. Yeah, what I'm going to do, 1 second. Glass is awesome that way. I mean, the glass medium, like I said, it's killer. Don't let your paint dry. But as long as you haven't yet. Okay. All right, let me try that. I'm going to tip it. Definitely an awkward angle, so. Okay. Let's get that loaded up a little more. Right there. Okay. Let's head up the other side here. Okay. And I'm going to tip it off here, sorry. Right out of your view, I'm sure. Okay. One, then we'll get the white in. Once I have these, I'm going to have a much better view and angle. now. I need some more gray paint already. Okay, all right, I'm set in here. Now we can move to the next set here. I'm not sure how I want to start it, so I guess we're just going to wing it. So I sort of have a general idea, pardon me, a general idea in mind, but I didn't have a pattern laid out, so. All right, I'm gonna move this away. Actually, I don't need that right now. So I'm gonna want some walked dots that come through here. I always like to have something like a little dot that I can hang something on. Sounds a little weird, I know. Alright, let's do that in this marshmallow. My decision is, do I want my walk dots to end on the white or on the gray? Let's do it on the gray. Ever so light with the touch. Now the center of this, I can either do the white, or I think I'm going to go ahead and do it, our spiced berry. All right. I'll get out the other acrylic rod here. Making sure I don't have any leftover bubbles with the mixture of the medium. Go back in and redip your tool each dot. And I feel like I'm being like 3 times more cautious than I would normally be, just because of the angle here. Just because I'm doing everything at this downward angle. I think the last time, and maybe the only other time that I've done something at such an odd angle like this, was when I did Easter eggs. that was fun too. Most all my other projects, glass or not, I do have a tilt too, of course, but I do not have straight down. All right. Keep my tools clean, wipe that off. Okay, I'm gonna go into a small one here. What I'm gonna do though, I'm gonna grab another tool. Now each of these tools, at least the ones that I have a 1.5 end, and then I have the actual sized tool end. So I'm going to use the 1.5 end. Doesn't matter which one, but my white tool here is and I have it marked 2.1. Did I do that? I did that. Look at that. How funny. Goodness gracious. So what I'm going to do to start walking your dots, when I first started, I never understood why when I did walking dots, the curve was round. It was like an upside down U. It was not a sharp V shape that you're used to seeing. I don't know what the heck I'm doing wrong. And honestly, I don't remember seeing any YouTube videos, guides, or otherwise to tell me why that was happening. Trial and error though, what you need to do when you walk your dots is you want to start at the top with the tool one size larger or greater than the tool size that you're going to follow through with, or that you're actually going to put the pattern with. So for me right now, I'm going to use the 1.5. Like I said, it doesn't matter at all which one of my tools I grab because they all have a 1.5 end. My next tool size up is the white one, and like I said, I have it marked. This is actually a 2.1. So this is my next size up. So what I'm going to do, let's go, you know what, let's do the cream. It's going to be fine. That'll carry that over nicely. All right, so I'm going to start with, let me get this one out of my hand. It's actually like a free hand here. So I'm going to start with the 2.1. Get that nice and loaded. And I'm going to drop that on the tip. Okay. Go through and do that for all the tips. Now that I've done that, I'll wipe that off. And then I'm going to flip my tool over, like I said, go back to the 1.5. Now the reason your dots end up being this, like I said, this round curve shape instead of a sharp V is because of that dot placement right there. When you don't have a dot that starts larger and you have a good position for it, that's why you get the round one. So start with something larger. Alright, give that a good one here. Make sure that your first one is right in the crook. Okay. Hopefully that's bright enough. going to turn on my other light. I don't usually like that because it's kind of gives a glare, but I think it might be really useful here. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This is such a hard finger placement here. And I keep my tools obsessively clean. You don't have to, but it makes a huge difference in the long run. So after every one or two, just wipe that off. I have just a wet old washcloth sitting next to me in a little Tupperware dish that I just have handy and wipe everything off real quick. Alright, so let's go to this one here. Try not to get my hand in the way. Oh my goodness sakes. This is going to be the death of me, bees, I swear. Okay. Alright. So there's one side. Wipe my tool off again. And let's go to the other side. Trying to find the best place to do this. My view is backwards. Okay. So we're getting there. Getting it down. Wipe that off. Oops. Something's stuck there. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, 1 second. Little itty bitty tiny space. Okay. Not sure what happened there. I'm going to clean my tool off again real quick. Like something was on there that wasn't supposed to be. Okay. Let's try that again. All right. So now we've got that one. Now I did that with a 1.5. My next one up is a 2.1, right? So the next size up is a 2.1. It's pain on my hand. I'm not injured. Okay, so the next one, like I said, I've got this marked as a 2.1. So if I want to do another round, again, I want to start the tip a tool size up. The next one that I've got is the blue, which is 2.6. All right, so this one is going to be white. Okay, let's try to get this straight down. Okay, white my tool. Let's go back to the white, but we're gonna get it again flipped upside down. We're gonna use 2.1 instead of 1.5. Wipe my tool off again. Like I said, it's much easier to take a quick minute, clean the tool off. You're gonna ensure that your paint droplets are gonna be more consistent, which is a big, huge deal. And you don't have to worry about constantly cleaning your tools after the fact. All right, so here's the backwards ones. I do feel like I'm backwards doing these ones. I'm right-handed if you can't tell. I'm having to touch the glass on these. It's so funny. I cannot hold still in the same way. Doing it backwards, upside down, and backwards to boot. Okay. It's getting easier. Okay, all right. So now we've got 2. Now I used a 2.1, 2.5, and so now we're gonna go with a 3. All right, so up, up, up. This is gonna be the light gray. Right. Now I gotta load this up pretty well. Get it really nice. Oops. My hand's kind of moved there. And the 4th one. What I could do is leave this side open. Do I do that on this? No, I don't think I do. Okay. I may leave it one-sided at some point, but no, I think we're gonna go for it. Much harder to come in from top down. next one. So there's those. Now what I'm going to do in between, let's see, let's get some swooshes in here. Let me try to find my almost invisible clear acrylic rod. Let's go a little smaller. Let's find the other one. So in order to do the swooshes, and again these are going to be upside down, I personally just use 2 tools of the same. I don't go for a needle or anything, but I'm going to use whatever size I want to start with. Once I make my dot, I pull my swooshes with the very thinnest tool that I have. This is like a 0.5. This particular one actually has more of a pointed versus the rounded tip. So it's kind of my favorite to do it with. Okay, so I'm going to go into the spiced berry over here. Fill it up real nice. I'm probably only going to do 1 tonight because it's going to get kind of squashy, and with this being upside down, I want it to dry before I stick my hands on anything. Okay. So let's go ahead and get a gauge here, somewhere here-ish. And make sure that's got enough paint on it. Take the sharp out of my tool. Like I said, let me find a good spot for my hand, which is nowhere. Take the center and pull where you want it to go. Then you're going to want to take the side and pull it there. And this one here. So kind of like a kid's coloring book. You've got these weird little lines, but it becomes just like a coloring book. You can take the tool or the paintbrush or whatever, start from the middle and just start pulling paint just like a brush right in. Glass makes this super easy. Okay, so now I've got a nice little swoosh. The one exception, I am not cleaning this tool off after each because I need the heavy dot anyways. This isn't going to make that much difference. So, alright, so now, again, somewhere up there. Center, pull, side, pardon me, excuse me, okay, pull, and then just fill that in. Bring that out a little more. There's 2. Let's get the third one. Let's rinse and repeat. Draw it out. Color it in. Now I'm going to wipe off my tool there. Alright, now I've got the 4 swooshes. Okay, now at this point I probably am going to stop. I need to catch myself up on the other jar, on the other ink here. Okay, and then I also want to let this dry. Okay, so for my next row up here, make sure that I have enough room, and that I have a nice place to set my hands for next time. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I certainly do appreciate it if you had stopped by. Again, this is going to be out here on YouTube for a while. Certainly don't intend to have these in anytime soon. If you are dropping by after the fact, again, thank you so much for joining me. If you like this, if you have any questions, I certainly am not a pro by any means, but I do try to share what knowledge I've gained. And if you do have any interest, you can find me on Facebook, Sylvan Miss Designs. I do also host a group called Mandala.art for the true beginner. So no matter what you've done and possibly nothing, come start with us. We'll help you out. All right, we'll get you where you want to be. Okay, again, thank you so much. I certainly appreciate it. You guys take care, and I will be checking back with you again next Monday.